Coffee Talk. So, I've been trying to get this video recorded for the bigger part of this day, which has been like 3-4 hours so far, and I just couldn't get the angle right, I couldn't get the lighting right. I wanted everything to be perfect, which is just a silly thing because perfectionism is not gonna do you any good in life. Coincidentally, perfectionism ties quite nicely together with today's topic, which is imposter syndrome. So today I just quickly want to talk about this book called Ditching Imposter Syndrome. I will try to explain to you what is imposter syndrome, whether you actually have it or it's just natural self-doubt that you're experiencing, why do we have it, like where is it coming from, how you can notice it, and at the end I'm also going to sum it up, a 5-step process of how you can tackle imposter syndrome provided by the book. If you're new here, welcome, my name is David, I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist and a soon-to-be university student as well. In this channel, I share ideas that I found useful improving my life, and hopefully you can find some value in them as well to create a happier, healthier and better life. So the book is Ditching Imposter Syndrome from Claire Yoza. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about another book called Yes, You Are Good Enough. I think you can find the link here or here. It has a nice explanation of what is imposter syndrome for people who doesn't necessarily want to spend weeks reading about it. Now, contrast to that, Ditching Imposter Syndrome is your deep dive book on the topic. It covers lots of different areas and relatable, fields to imposter syndrome. It has a lot of tactics and strategies that you can use for different situations in life. Think of it more as a toolbox where you can just go through and find what works for you, try out different tactics and see what is working. Now, if you're not familiar with imposter syndrome, let me quote Claire here and how she describes it. If you have ever found yourself lying awake at 3 AM, worrying about being found out, feeling like a fraud, wondering how you get to the position you're in your career or business, feeling secretly terrified that they will realize that you don't belong and that everyone else knows more than you, then you are more than likely to suffer from imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome happens when there is a mismatch between who do you see yourself as a person right now and who do you think you need to be to have these achievements to live this life that you are currently living, despite the fact that you're actually living this life and you actually did earn those achievements. I think it's important to clarify that imposter syndrome is not an actual syndrome, it's not a mental disorder. Think about it like an unhelpful, often very negative inner voice. Now this inner voice or inner critic, as it's called in imposter syndrome, instead of helping us, is actually actively hindering us by telling us that we're not good enough, we don't belong here, we don't know as much as the others, and just overall, it was a mistake that I'm here. Now, if you feel like this describes you quite accurately, then first of all, you're not alone. Far from it. A 2019 imposter syndrome study carried out by the author of this book, Claire Yoza, found out that the majority of the population actually dealing with imposter syndrome. In a survey, 49% of female and 52% of male respondents from British businesses said that they are dealing with imposter syndrome on a daily basis. Imposter syndrome can be the reason why you never speak up with your ideas and keep silent, as it happened with over 50% of the respondents, or when you actually don't take credit for your own work and you feel like you just get stuck in this negative self-talk loop. But before you think that great, one more thing I need to worry about that I didn't even know I had, there is an important distinction to make here. Self-doubt does not mean you have imposter syndrome. It is really quite normal to doubt in yourself and be afraid of challenges. That's just how we are. As Claire puts it, imposter syndrome is more than self-doubt in a spiky suit. It's not about your beliefs about what you can or cannot do. It's driven by who you think you are. Self-doubt is about your skills and capabilities. Imposter syndrome is about your sense of identity. To show you some examples, here is a graph from the 2019 imposter syndrome study to show you the difference between having self-doubt and dealing with imposter syndrome. As you can see, the questions or statements with blue lines next to them representing imposter syndrome are more of an identity questions of who you are. They go a lot deeper than simple self-doubt questions that tend to focus on your abilities and capabilities at the time. For me, the most important takeaway was that I don't actually deal with imposter syndrome that much. I definitely feel it when I make these YouTube videos because I'm generally quite an introvert person. I don't enjoy big parties or loud music or going out meeting new people that often. So putting myself out on the internet is something definitely out of my comfort zone. But then I realized that actually nobody's watching these videos, at least not yet. So I have time to get better and just really not worry about that too much. Okay, so why do we actually have imposter syndrome? Why do we feel like this? Imposter syndrome triggers the part of the brain that is actually trying to protect us, trying to protect us from shame or disappointment or embarrassment. It is an actual stress response. Now, one of the main concepts of the book is our RAS system's involvement in the imposter syndrome. Basically, the RAS is the reason why we don't go crazy from information overload. It filters through almost all of the information and only flags up the important ones, which then we are made aware of. Okay, but what counts as important? Something like keep me safe goes right through the filter. Aside from that, it prioritizes what you told it is important for you. And one way you do that is through your self-talk and through your thoughts. So as an example, if you keep telling yourself that you are not good at talking in front of others, your RAS system is going to filter through all the informations to support your belief that you are not good at talking in front of others. Okay, now we know why do we have imposter syndrome, where is it coming from, but how do we actually know when we have it? How do we notice it? The book presents us with 4 signs of behavioral changes that can be early signs of imposter syndrome. And Claire calls these the 4 P's of imposter syndrome. The 4 P's are perfectionism, paralysis, people-pleasing, and everybody's favorite, procrastination. So in the study, over 50% of the respondents said that they are dealing with dangerous levels of perfectionism through everyday basis, like yours truly sometimes. One of the pillars of imposter syndrome because we're trying to compensate for our beliefs that we are not good enough. Paralysis is when you're trying to hide and avoid from your demanding tasks and trying to pretend to others that you are fine and you have it under control, when in reality everything is on fire and you resolve to doing your things at the last minute because you have a deadline coming up. People pleasing is when you say yes to things that other people throw at you, other people ask from you, simply because you're just trying to counter this feeling that you don't belong, that you're not good enough by, taking everybody's favor and just trying to be the nicest guy doing everybody's work, even though it can hinder your own life. And of course, procrastination. Now, at this point, I see procrastination involved in literally everything, so I'm at the point where I believe procrastination is just a natural thing of life. It's going to happen no matter what. All we can do is trying to mitigate it and trying to make our work more fun and actually like what we're doing. Alright, our last thing to understand is just how deeply imposter syndrome is actually rooted in us. Luckily, we have Claire's imposter iceberg to show us just that. At the top, we have our actions that we do every single day, and the deeper we go down the iceberg, the deeper we go down in our subconscious and the more impact we have on our core beliefs and who we are. On the surface level, we have our everyday actions. Our actions are influenced by our thoughts and self-talk, be it negative or positive. Below that, we have our beliefs. It's about our society or ourselves. It is often presented the I can or I cannot do something. Below that, our core values. What is important to us? We usually pick these up as a young children from our families and later on from society. And at the very bottom, there is our identity level, the who am I question. I think this illustrates very well why simply telling yourself that you are good at presenting in front of others is not gonna make that much of a difference when you deep down actually believe that you are a person who cannot do that. Now, from that point, the book starts with this 5-step process of how to get over imposter syndrome. I'm not going to cover that here because simply that is like a 250-page part of the book. It's a giant mess of information. There is a lot of very deep things in there that you need to take your time with. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think I can cover it in a way that it's going to make actual useful sense for you. It is something that you actually need to read and work with it through weeks and through months oftentimes, because it's a long process. You need to learn a lot about yourself, and overall it is just a very wide topic to cover here. But what I can do is summarize you the 5 steps what Claire uses, just to give you a rough idea of what you can get out from this book. So in step 1, you will find out if you actually have imposter syndrome or not, why you should get rid of it if you have it, what is your core reason to get over it, and you're also going to learn a quick fix of how to tame your inner critic. In step 2, you're going through a process where you learn how to tame your inner critic, this negative self-talk voice in your head that narrating your life, how to get over it and how to change it. In step 3, you're going to learn how to get over and how to change your limiting beliefs, fears and excuses. This is a very deep and personal part. I think this is the hardest one and it can take some time to get through it. In step 4, you continue to understand more about your beliefs, more about the way you act and why do you act the way you do. and you will learn new tactics and new strategies of how to cope with imposter syndrome. And in step 5, Claire encourages you to be the leader you meant to be, not just for your own life, but for others as well. Alright, now to sum it up. Overall, I think if you know you're dealing with imposter syndrome or you're not sure yet, maybe if it's just a regular self-doubt that you're experiencing, regardless of your situation, it is a great book to improve your own life and the life of people around you as well, because a large part of society is dealing with imposter syndrome. It does have a lot of information in it, and for some people that can be a little bit off-roading because it takes some time to get through the book, and if you're actually doing the exercises and going through step by step, for some people it can take weeks or even months just to get through the process, but potentially you can cure your imposter syndrome. If you're someone who's just looking for a quick read, this might not be the best book for you, but what you can do is just go through the first couple chapters where Claire explains what is imposter syndrome, why do we have it, how you can deal with it. And as I said, you can use this book as a toolbox, so you just find situations and tactics that are useful to you and just work on it through your own pace. In my case, I truly think that this is one of the best books about imposter syndrome, one of the most helpful books, and I'm truly glad that Claire took the time to share her knowledge about this serious topic. Okay, now I told you it's a quick video. I think we are way over 15 minutes. But thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you got some value out of this. And please let me know down in the comment section if you have read the book or have imposter syndrome, what are your experiences, what worked for you, so we can actually find a good solution later on. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one.